Great. I'll see if I can head them off.
Ace.
Feast now.
I just can't do it, Captain. I do it, Captain.
Food.
People,
I said
I told you to feast now.
for God's sakes, gentlemen.
Lore master.
Not a
Fisherman.
Hey there YouTube, I am the Caffeinated Dad. I also occasionally stream over on Twitch, link in the description below. Today I'm going to be covering everything you need to know about Northgard's resource systems. Check the timestamps in the description below to jump ahead to specific parts. Aside from that, let's get into it. No surprise, each month represents 1 minute in real life. When you see any production value, positive or negative, that number is indicative of how much of that resource you will gain or lose in 1/6 of a month. Given that math, knowing a month is 60 seconds, multiplying 60 seconds by 1/6 or 0.16 will get you 10 seconds. At any given time, the value shown next to a resource is how much you would produce in a 10-second period. Multiplying that value by 6 will get you 1 month worth of production. This is important to look at when we're talking about winter. Obviously, one of the key resources to track in Northgard, food plays a vital role in your progression and survival. Naturally, all of your villagers start out foraging for food themselves. The other potential food producers are fishermen, farmers, and hunters. Villagers, of course, always produce less food than the other food-producing choices, racking in a total of 260 food over the course of a year, at an average rate of 21.6 per month. As a PSA, it is always going to be more beneficial to assign villagers to other food-producing roles, as they do not even come close to matching the production value. Hunters, similar to villagers, fluctuate production during winter and summer months, but still produce an average of 26 food per month, up to a total of 310 per year. Now that 310 is per hunter, meaning that a unupgraded building is going to have 2 310 food producing units. When you upgrade that building, it jumps up to 372 food produced per year per unit. Further, adding an upgraded silo and upgrading tools takes hunters up to their cap of 514 food produced per year per unit. Fishermen are the only food production unit that does not suffer any penalty during winter, constantly producing 26 food per month for a total of 313 food per year. Upgrading the building increases it to 375 per year. With upgraded silos and tools, you can max out at a total of 518 food produced per year per fisherman. Lastly, farmers are the most productive during summer and the least productive during winter, of course still ahead of villagers. They produce close to 27 food per month on average for a total of 320 per year. Upgrading the building and adding an upgraded silo and then upgrading the tools produces the absolute most at 530 food per year per farmer. As a statement, when deciding the hierarchy of which is better, all extra food production buildings are roughly the same, less than 5% difference between them. Ideally, building any of these food production buildings will be beneficial. Adding a silo when you can will always help increase the amount of food produced. However, your largest increase will always be upgrading the building itself. This increase across the board is roughly about 70 food per year. Not only increasing the production of its current workers, but adding an additional food producing worker will always be your largest increase. Lastly, as a PSA, a healer has the same food production value as a villager, but it will stop producing food to heal. Keep that in mind. Wood production is relatively simple. One of the first buildings you can build is the Woodcutter's Lodge, and each woodcutter you have generates 24 wood per month. This can be further increased by upgrading it, which adds an additional woodcutter to the building and increases the monthly wood cutting up to 29 or 28.8 per month. I'm going to stop right here to talk about winter and how you can prepare. Also, I'll be covering the Blizzard event, as these two resources are the ones that are the most seriously affected by winter. Winter reduces the amount of food produced, except for fishermen, and increases the amount of wood burned during this time. As you see here, once winter starts, I have a -5 food deficit. The way I calculate to see if I have enough is to do some quick math. I take my -5 and multiply it by 6 to see how much I will lose in 1 month. My total per month is -30 food. With that, I know winter will last 3 months, so I multiply that total by 3 and get my winter expenditure. This winter, if I change nothing, I will lose 90 food. As long as my current stockpile is higher than that number, my clan will make through winter unscathed. I started the winter with 108 food, so I will be perfectly fine. But what about the blizzard event? This reduces all production by 50% and then doubles wood consumption for the remainder of the winter. The same math applies here. Take your deficit, which in this case is minimal, and then multiply it by 6 to get your monthly cost. In this situation, my monthly cost would be 24, aside from me popping a feast right there. The only other thing to note about the blizzard event is that it only lasts a month and a half. So whatever your monthly deficit would be, you just multiply that by 1.5, and then there you go. Or in this case, the monthly bonus production, you get the point. To offset some of this, you can have sheep on specific tile, which reduce the amount of wood consumption during winter by 20%. You can also utilize the Hearthstone lore, which further reduces the wood consumption by 50%, and reduces the food production penalty by 20%. This lore is on the last tier, and you probably will not have access to it until mid-game. This lore is exceptional when dealing with the blizzard mechanic, but also dealing with the increased size of your clan. Lastly, Freya's Blessing reduces the loss of food production during winter by 50%, and the wood consumption by 15%. Personally, the winters early on are not that bad, but once getting into mid or late game, this becomes a huge factor. I choose this as my second blessing, in favor of either happiness or the stone and iron one first. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into Northgard's resource system, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. I like to create a lot of my content based around RTS games and, of course, Northgard. With that, let's jump into some money. Crowns are usually overlooked, and they definitely should not be. The main concern is that some buildings have an upkeep cost. Early on, this is minimal, but mid to late game, there is usually a heavy upkeep, and you need to plan that out because if you don't, you'll be stuck trying to recruit military units with no monies. Literally upgrading anything requires crowns, and hiring one of your best military units costs crowns. Traditionally, crowns are produced from the town hall, or from merchants and sailors and scalds if you're the stag clan. The sailors are going to be your best early game option for accruing crowns. Building a longship dock yields 24 crowns per month, as well as building either fame or lore, ideally lore. The only downside to a longship dock is that it can be decimated by natural events, either the Kraken or the frozen sea. Merchants tend to be the best, most versatile crown producers, starting with the same 24 crowns per month, but having access to trading routes which sell off excess resources at the benefit of additional crowns. Ideally, putting a trading post and a marketplace on the same tile, as you can double dip with their upgrade production benefits. 20% increase for merchants in the area, multiplied by 2. This will net you the largest crown production possible. A couple of tips would be, as mentioned, building the marketplace and trading post on the same tile, destroying buildings not in use, i.e. a scout camp, a forge, or used mines, and being careful about the amount of towers you build. Their upkeep can really sneak up on you. Stone and iron play their important roles. Both of these are finite resources and are incredibly important when looking at the increased capabilities of your buildings and your units. First, stone is used when upgrading buildings, creating a carved stone, or building an altar of kings. There's no real micromanagement to this one per se, except for the mining efficiency lore that increases the speed that you mine those minerals. Ideally, I upgrade production buildings first. Food, wood, crowns to maximize my economy. From there, I've become a bit pickier as I only have so much stone that I can utilize. Iron is on that same vein. You get it because it's an iron. Anyway, it is vital to increase the capabilities of military and civilian production units. But outside of that, its main use is to recruit a war chief, arguably one of your strongest military units that you can have. Happiness I will touch briefly. This is critical for the growth of your clan, of course, but it is naturally increased as your territory grows. And with that, if you do not grow fast enough, your clan will become upset and pissed off at you. Breweries are going to be your best bet to ensure a steady flow of happiness, but look for other ways to maximize it, though either clan benefits or the all-powerful commercial victory. Lastly, I want to talk about feasts and the Altar of Kings. Feasts increase the production of all units by 20% and add a flat +2 to all resources. Ideally, you do not need this too early in the game, as there's only so much of a benefit that this will have. Also factoring in the increase in costs every time you use it, it may not be worth it until using it later when you have a larger economy. The Altar of Kings is a heavy investment, and of course it's required for the Fame victory, but the issue is that with the Altar of Kings, it takes time for you to see a return on investment. Clans other than the Boar clan won't see a return on investment until a year and 8 months after the building. The Boar clan, however, can reap the benefits within a year. Make sure that the investment is worth it. My top 5 tips to walk away from this video, the value of this video, is as followed. Number 1, multiply your resource value by 6 to determine your monthly change. Number 2, food production buildings will always be better than villagers. Number 3, upgrade production buildings are always worth significantly more. Number 4, try to build trading posts and marketplaces on the same tile. And number 5, save your feasts for late in the game. You don't need it on year 1. Whew, that was quite a bit of information. Tell me what kind of guide you'd like me to do next. Military, multiplayer? Leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts. As always, I am the Caffeinated Dad, and I will see you guys around.